Even now that we both, have records, I have a record coming out. And because my personality is very different, I feel like a lot of people try to make me into an anti-Beyonce.
Before we were known for the music, my sister actually had our family pretty famous for something else. She decided to try to get my boyfriend in trouble because she hated him. She was so jealous because we were best friends until him. Mm-hmm. And we were...
Solange!
Beyonce, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jay, Solange.
13 things, one sister, and a story that the most powerful entertainment family in the world has spent 2 decades carefully controlling. You know Beyonce, you think you know Solange, but what if the real story of this family, the rivalry, the resentment, the elevator, the missing credits, the secret health battle, the conspiracy that fans swear explains everything, has been sitting in plain sight this whole time, buried under Grammy speeches and Instagram aesthetics. Solange Knowles did not become an afterthought. She was treated like one, and the clues she left behind, in her music, her lyrics, and one very violent elevator, paint a portrait of a woman who watched her identity get swallowed by a machine built around her sister.
Solange, you think Jay-Z made the right decision by teaming up with the NFL? Or do you think that was maybe going against his word?
Get out of here now. Go, get out of here.
Crazy.
Get out of here. Get
Your
out of here.
armpits are crazy.
These are 13 things Solange has been trying to tell you. Some are facts. Some are conspiracy theories the internet cannot let go of. All of them will change the way you see the Knowles family forever.
You go about making sure you put people in their place and let them know, like, look, there's a time and place for everything, but this ain't it right now.
I learned it from Solange. She's the best at it. No, she really is, and it's one of the things.
Subscribe before this goes any further. Hit the bell. Now, let's start at the very beginning, because secret number 1 explains everything that comes after it. 1. Her father called her the secret weapon. Before Beyoncé sold out stadiums, before Lemonade, there were 2 girls in Houston, and it was not obvious which one would be the bigger star. Matthew Knowles, the man who engineered Beyoncé's entire career, once publicly referred to Solange as the family's secret weapon. Not the backup, the weapon. And in 2017, Beyoncé told her sister in Interview magazine, "I remember thinking, my little sister is going to be something super special." So here is the question. If both daughters showed extraordinary talent from the start, how does one end up with 35 Grammys and the other ends up answering questions about her famous sister in every interview? The answer is not talent. The gap was built deliberately, and the first person who built it was their own father. 2. Their mother sent them both to therapy as children. This came straight from Tina Knowles in a live interview with Michelle Obama. As children, Beyoncé was so irritated by Solange wanting to be around her that she let people tell her little sister to shut up and disappear. Tina's exact words. Beyoncé started letting them say, "Shut up, Solange. Be quiet, Solange. Mama, come get Solange." Tina's solution? Therapy. For both girls. As children. This was happening in the same house where Solange was watching her sister get managed and launched into superstardom while she was the one being told to sit down. So she went to her room and she started writing songs. That detail matters more than you think. 3. She wrote Beyoncé's hits and barely got the credit. Before Solange had a #1 album of her own, she was quietly writing some of the biggest songs on her sister's records. She co-wrote Get Me Bodied and Upgrade You from Beyoncé's 2006 album, B-Day. She wrote for Kelly Rowland and Destiny's Child. She was the kind of talent that made other people sound brilliant while remaining invisible herself. The conspiracy theory baked into this fact: if Solange was skilled enough to write chart-topping material for her sister at age 19, what would her career have looked like if that same management machine had been pointed at her? Some fans argue Matthew Knowles made a calculated decision early on. One daughter gets the machine, the other gets the margins. 4. She was a backup dancer for her own sister's group, Solange, a girl writing songs since childhood, recognized by her father as the family's secret weapon, began her professional career at 13 as a backup dancer for Destiny's Child. Her sister's group, on her sister's stage, dancing to songs she had helped write. In any other family, this would be called something very specific. In the Knowles family, it was called a learning experience, but Solange's music always said otherwise. The opening line of her second album, "Let My Starlight Shine on its own," /No, I'm no sister, /I'm just my God-given name. That was not accidental. 5. She got married at 17, and nobody stopped it. While Beyoncé's adolescence was being structured and optimized for stardom, Solange married her junior high sweetheart at 17, gave birth at 18, and moved to Idaho. She has said the rapid pace of the Knowles machine made her crave stillness. One place, one identity, that had nothing to do with being someone's little sister. Was that benign neglect? A choice? Or the natural result of a family that had already decided which daughter it was investing in? 6. The elevator. What Beyoncé's silence actually told us. May 5th, 2014. The Met Gala after party. The Standard Hotel. Solange kicking, Solange swinging, Jay-Z backing against the wall, the bodyguard slamming the emergency stop on the 12th floor, and Beyoncé standing completely still in the corner, not pulling her sister away, not defending her husband, just watching, face unreadable. Jay-Z rapped 2 years later. You egged Solange on, knowing all along. All you had to say, you was wrong. He is not saying Solange was wrong. He is saying he was, and that he knew it while it was happening. Now add Lemonade, an entire album about Jay-Z's infidelity. The theory the internet refuses to bury, Beyoncé already knew in that elevator. She wasn't frozen from shock. She was frozen because Solange was doing what she had always done, protecting her sister, and Beyoncé let it happen. 2 years later, Beyoncé put this on Renaissance. Might I suggest you don't F with my sis? That is not a throwaway lyric. That is a thank you note. 7. She fought a debilitating illness, alone and in silence. In December 2017, Solange cancelled a major performance and quietly revealed on Instagram, in a post she later deleted, that she had been diagnosed 5 months earlier with an autonomic nervous system disorder. She had been treating it privately while touring and winning a Grammy. Some days she felt fine, other days not at all. No documentary, no strategic reveal. A deleted Instagram post and a cancelled show. Compare that to how any health struggle inside Beyoncé's world would have been handled. And that contrast tells you everything about how differently these two women move through the same industry. 8. A Seat at the Table was the album the industry couldn't fully celebrate. A Seat at the Table dropped in September 2016, 5 months after Lemonade. It debuted at number 1. Critics called it a masterpiece, a raw political album about blackness, identity, and generational pain, made entirely on her own label, with no machine behind her. She finished it on her 30th birthday. The conspiracy theory, The press and the industry couldn't fully celebrate it, because doing so would require admitting something uncomfortable. That the wrong sister had been running the machine all along. 9. She became the first black woman to score a ballet. And nobody talked about it. In 2022, Solange became the first African American ever to compose an original score for the New York City Ballet. She had already performed at the Guggenheim, the Venice Biennale, and Glastonbury, where the Daily Telegraph gave her a perfect 5-star review and called her an artist to be cherished. Think about how many people in your life know that. Then think about how that same achievement would have been covered if Beyoncé had done it. The gap between what Solange has accomplished and how loudly it has been acknowledged is not a coincidence. 10. Her debut was sabotaged by its own context. Solo Star was released in 2003. Solange was 16. It sold 100,000 copies and was called a failure. Every review compared her to Beyoncé and found her wanting. What those reviews ignored, she was a teenager who had written and co-produced her own tracks, signed to a father who was simultaneously funneling every resource into Destiny's Child. The album didn't fail because Solange lacked talent. It failed because it was released into a market that had already decided she was the lesser Knowles. Critics weren't reviewing her. They were reviewing a shadow. 11. She told you exactly what it did to her, and nobody listened. Solange has said openly that growing up invisible in her own family pushed her towards songwriting as survival. Her words: "Writing felt like this insular thing that I could go back to in my room and express all that I would observe, all the emotions that would arise. That is not a backstory. That is a wound, and it produced some of the most critically acclaimed music of the past decade." 12. The theory that explains everything. The machine chose its winner early. The theory lives in forums and comment sections, and it goes like this. Matthew Knowles made a deliberate business decision in the early 1990s to concentrate every resource on one daughter. He signed Solange to his own label, where he had every incentive to keep her secondary. He allowed her to disappear into Idaho at 17. He gave her the minimum support required to say he had tried. This is unproven. But consider, a girl her own father called a secret weapon, who wrote hits for her sister at 19, who eventually made a #1 album and composed for the New York City Ballet, spent 15 years being introduced as Beyoncé's little sister. That kind of systematic undervaluation does not happen by accident. 13. She left, quietly, and that was the loudest thing she ever did. In 2019, Solange divorced, released her 4th album, When I Get Home, and stepped back from public life. No announcement, no explanation. She simply went quiet. For a woman who had spent her whole life being told to be quiet, hushed in her own house, danced to the margins of her family's story, going quiet on her own terms is the most radical thing she has ever done. Beyoncé once said, "I remember thinking, my little sister is going to be something super special." She was right. The tragedy is the world was too busy looking at Beyoncé to notice. 13 things, a secret weapon treated like a spare, a songwriter who made other people famous before herself, a woman who fought a silent illness, danced in her sister's background, and still composed for the New York City Ballet. The question this video leaves you with is not about Beyoncé. It's about what we do to talented people when we decide too early who the star is supposed to be. Drop your answer in the comments. Solange fan? Bayhive? Someone who just realized they've never listened to a seat at the table? Let me know. And if this opened your eyes, share it. The best thing you can do for an artist who spent her life being underestimated is make sure the right people finally hear her story. Like the video, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Some stories get buried because someone decided they weren't worth telling. We're here to dig.